Yes, Master.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. It's your host, Ramon Azab, a.k.a. Rima, with the Alliance, and I'm here with one of the devious developers of the developers, CG, Not Really a Jedi. How you doing today?
Doing real well, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, I've had a chance to meet with you a few times. You're definitely somebody that has been around the game since the beginning. I remember you on the forums back when the game came out. Now,
yep.
How long have you been a part of Capital Games, and what exactly is your title there, and what do you do?
So I am the lead game designer over live operations, and I've been with Capital Games for, since before soft launch. So it's been a little while.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I mean, yeah, as far as developers go, or people involved with Capital Games, you're definitely one of the names that I think of first. So that's excellent. I actually asked if I could interview you specifically. So that's awesome. Yeah. So just jumping right into it. We have The Last Jedi coming up. First and foremost, are you guys going to kind of go out together to watch it? Is this something where you guys are going to kind of sit down together and kind of take a look at some characters you might be putting in the game in the future, or how do you guys go about that?
We're definitely going to watch it as a studio. So I think there's a full day set aside for us to go and enjoy the release of Last Jedi. So we're all very excited about that.
Okay, excellent. Now, just specifically about Rey. Now I know. There's been some questions about, whether she was going to get the Jedi tag or not get the Jedi tag. Ultimately, you guys decided to go with just a straight Resistance tag. And I've kind of heard your answer about this on some of the other interviews that you've done with some of the other game changers. So I don't want to have you rehash the question, but was that a decision that was made, very, very close to release, or was that something that you guys always knew she was going to be a Resistance character?
I would say that it came up in discussion in the first portion of development with her, but it wasn't like something where we really wrestled over it. It wasn't like, we fought over it for the whole length of time. It was a relatively quick decision, and once we kind of understood who she was during this time and what she was going to represent for the franchise, it was just clear, she wasn't going to have the Jedi tag. So, like I said, this is a hero's journey. So this is not the last iteration of Rey we're going to see, and I don't know even where she's going to wind up in the future. So, I just know right now she's not a Jedi.
A lot of people feel like maybe that might be kind of a hint towards her going Darkseid in the future. Nobody knows yet. Of course, we haven't seen the movie, but hopefully it leads to cool stuff either way. I'm sure from the initial reactions I've heard so far about the movie that it's going to be really awesome either way. So
yeah, well, I'm excited to find out. So I don't have any spoilers. So I'm just as in the dark as you guys on this one. So
yeah, absolutely. Now, as far as her synergy with the Resistance, when you put together the set, did you guys imagine that, let's say, the Resistance was going to be, a compatible faction, or a competitive faction now with, let's say, the Rebels and Commander Luke Skywalker, or was this more about just kind of making her an all-around character where she was going to be, a great character in territory wars, territory battles, and all the PvE content?
Well, I think it's all of the above, really. We knew that we wanted her. It's a hero's journey character, so it's a lot of work and a lot of effort. Going into this, there's also the, fact that the event will come and go, and so there's an investment put into this character. So she has to be valuable in more than one place, and that's really important for us. But that said, at the core of who she is a Resistance member, and so we wanted to also give some prominence to the Resistance group and to the Resistance tag, so that when she's in that, the best iteration of Resistance is with Last Jedi Rey.
Absolutely. Now, I know that obviously Rey is the main topic here. The movie's coming out in a couple of days, but just wanted to touch on a couple of things about the two big updates that just came out with Darkseid territory battles and territory wars. being, let's say, a player, you've been, I'm sure, playing since the beginning. I've been playing since launch, so I've been able to, establish a pretty good roster at this point. It's not really that difficult for me to make decisions now which way I'm going to go. For a newer player that's coming into the game, let's say now, because they just found the game after, let's say, The Last Jedi comes out, do you think that maybe with all the new things now, with the new, the new territory wars, territory battles, the 2 raids, that it's a little bit more confusing trying to, figure out where to start or how to kind of get going?
Sure. I mean, that's kind of the conundrum with a lot of live games, that the older they get, the more they kind of cater towards the senior player, the longer-term player, and getting new people into the game and getting them able to understand it and giving them clear paths to victory, become a bit of a challenge. We have some things we're working on to help kind of alleviate that growth for the newer player, and I think I'm really excited to see those come to fruition. I don't know when those are going to happen, but we're definitely kicking around some stuff.
Awesome.
But I think hopefully what's happening is, I can't rely on players, going to the forums or going to Reddit or going to YouTube and trying to find stuff. I mean, some people will, and those who do will be better off for it, I think. But hopefully what's happening is people are able to go into the game, see some factions that they like, pick up something and play. And the nice thing is, I think that if you pick up anything but Upnot and Coruscant Underworld Police, and I think you'll be okay up to the right. So if you go after Phoenix, you'll be good. If you go after even if you go after a droid party, you'll be good. It'll get you through the basic content and allow you to farm some characters that you really, would need. And ideally, hopefully what's happening is they're looking at these events and they're going like, oh man, I really want Last Jedi Ray. Well, what does that mean? Oh, I need a resistance team. Well, cool. The earlier you farm a resistance team, and get them up to speed, you're set, right? Like a Zeta Finn resistance team will get you through pretty much, a big majority of the content, including territory wars and territory battles.
Sure. I mean, you just think about it. When the game first came out, and I thought about, how I started off. And, sometimes I have newer players that come in, they ask me for advice because I'm a game changer and I've been playing the game for a long time. I'm in a prominent guild. But the thing is that, I try to think about it, and sometimes I get kind of stumped myself because it's completely different than when I started. At that point, the only chase was Yoda. And I mean, obviously, any characters that you wanted specifically. I mean, my first chase was Darth Sidious, out of the squad arena shipments, so it's the game's changed a lot. There's a lot more options. Obviously, that's really great for any new player coming in. But yeah, like I said, I think that, there's definitely, a ton of great new content out now, a lot more exciting. I wonder, how I was so excited playing the game back then when we first started, thinking about all the new stuff that's out there now, because, just watching, let's say, a one-time speed match versus a 4-time speed match now it looks crazy, just like that. I used to play the game at that speed at one point,
Yeah, I don't know how we even did it at 1x.
It's crazy. But, just going back to Ray, and just want to ask you a couple more questions here. As far as her as a leader versus being a support character, I mean, do you think that she'll be better, let's say, in an addition to a team that's already out there, or as somebody that's going to lead, let's say, a faction squad?
I think her leader is super dope, and I think that having her as a lead for Resistance is probably going to be one of the most ideal combinations. I know that our internal team has slotted her into a couple of different combinations and achieved some really incredible results with her. So, ideally, I'm hoping it's going to be the Resistance party fully. But I do know that there are a couple of combinations that appear to be really effective with her. So it's nice to know she has some flexibility.
Yeah, there's always the initial plans when a character comes out, and then a few months later you have some different combinations you figure out, some different characters that work well, and you don't really figure those out until you get to do some trials and tests.
Right.
But overall, I looked at the kit, obviously, and I think it looks, amazing. I'm looking forward to getting her myself. I think that, she's going to be definitely a great, addition to the game. Now, as far as as far as stuff that's coming up, for The Last Jedi specifically, is there anything else that you guys are planning, for around the movie to be released, or is that Rey event really the main focus, and then after that, we'll get updates?
I can't say. I mean,
okay.
As far as what's been announced so far on the forums, that's what we're talking about, and so I think people just have to wait and play the game and see what happens.
Okay. All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time with me today to, sit down and, answer a few questions. I have one last question before you go, and
sure.
It's actually about the Wampa. Okay. So we're going Wampa now. As far as
let's do it.
As far as the Wampa is concerned, I know when I first spoke with Jesse and a few of the other developers that the original plan for the raid was to raid against the Wampa, right? Now,
yeah, long time ago.
Now, since that's changed, obviously we have the Rancor, we have the tank raid. Can we safely say that the Wampa raid is completely on the shelf, or is there still a chance?
I think at this time, Wampa might be just shelved.
Okay.
There's some things that we're thinking about for raids that when I look back and I go, when we were thinking about Wampa was kind of the first thing, right? So it was when we still didn't know what raids were going to look like and how they were going to function. As we've continued to grow, we've tried to keep pushing the raid system further and further and make them a little more impressive. I just don't think Wampa fits into a spot where we could do a raid with the Wampa as the boss, where people would feel like we gave them quality content or that they were really excited about it. So I think like at this point in time, I don't see a future where Wampa is a raid boss. But don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. Who knows? Things could change. But at this point, like I would say it's pretty certain that we wouldn't see Wampa anytime soon.
Poor Wampa. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Sad story. He loses an arm and he doesn't get into the raid.
we can always do the Sarlacc raid, where Newt Gunray and Greedo would be the basically the Tebow of that raid, where you just got to throw thermal detonators in his mouth.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And then if your characters die and they accidentally fall into the Sarlacc pit, they're actually locked out of your roster for 1,000 years. That'll be the hardcore version of the raid.
Slowly digesting for 1,000 years, pretty
exactly.
much.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Well, again, I really thank you so much for coming on to speak with me today, and I appreciate you taking the time. I know you guys are very busy over there, especially with all this stuff going on right now. I'm sure it's crazy, but I hope you have a happy New Year, and hopefully we get a chance to speak soon. I hopefully get a chance to meet you again sometime next year.
Sounds good, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
You too.
Yes, Master.